Feels like Groundhog Day.
Hey, what are you talking about? It's my turn. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, well, okay. Look, I'm tired, Stuart. I'm tired of wash, rinse, and repeat. I am tired of what you say, Groundhog Day. I am so tired of the predictability of the left. Stuart, the left should have applauded on Monday the return of the hostages. They didn't. Mamdani was pissed because now what's he going to do? You've got people on the left who are talking about the good old days. Do you remember the good old days, Stuart, when we burnt down Minnesota? Or remember the good old days when we were able to, protest and in Washington, D.C. during the Biden administration and Kamala Harris administration, and we get all these people loving us. But since Charlie Kirk's assassination, the left's real motivation has become evident. TPUSA, this movement that Charlie Kirk started, really was about conversation. You may not have liked what he said. You may not have agreed with what he said, but it sparked dialogue. And if you listen to a previous rant, we got into all that. And whatever happened to dialogue? The left doesn't want dialogue. The left wants you just to shut up and follow them like sheep to the slaughter. But that's not what a democracy is about. A democracy, as I was reminded again yesterday by people who requote me, democracy is about the ability to argue, debate, contradict, whatever, the government and people. That's what democracy is all about. Except when you're on the left. On the left, it's do as I say, not as I do. You have no right. And the lines on the left just keep moving. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rant Network. My name is David Solomon. He is Stuart Brisgell. We are the Rant Network. If you notice that, if you watched us on Monday, you're like, do they wear the same thing? Yeah, because Stuart and I are off today because we're out celebrating not only the return of the hostages, but a Jewish holiday for the final time this year. Anyways, we're in the Rant Network, what we do here is really, really simple, folks. It's all about unedited, uncensored, and unfiltered, and definitely unapologetic rants about society, politics, and so much more. So sit back, folks. Today, as I want to take a page, and I'll leave it to Stuart to continue this, but let me just throw one thing at you, Stu, before I punt the ball to you on this one. What really got me upset, time and time again, is that when we look at all of these talk show hosts, all of the people on The View, all those folks who think that what they do serious matters and should be listened to blindly, that's the left. That is what they do. They love, they have Trump derangement syndrome, they have Republican derangement syndrome, they lambaste the right, and fine, that's part of a democracy. Knock yourself out just because you lost half of your viewership, right? The fact that NBC wouldn't show how happy Israelis were with Trump, and JD Vance accused them of playing games. Sure, go for it. Do what you want. CBS, same thing. Like all these things, like no matter what happens, there's a game. The game's afoot, but you can't play their game. And the thing that got me and why this rant is on my nerves is Trevor Noah mocking the fact that Charlie Kirk, who supported guns, this, the Second Amendment, got killed with a gun.
Yep.
Ha! Wasn't that funny? Isn't that ironic?
Yep.
Isn't that sick, Stuart?
Yep.
That, my friend, seems to be the left today.
Okay. Great intro. Let's sort of back up. We have World War II. That was fascism. Soviet Union. What do you call that, David? Communism. You know that the two of these parties have one thing in common. They understood how to take command and control. The Marxist view, which I think is the overall group, which is Karl Marx's theory, right? The isms, right? Takes media for the ruling class to control it for spreading its ideology and reinforcing its version of capitalism, its capitalistic values. Why is that important for this race? Well, the left decided to take that one step further, which is what Fidel Castro therefore explained later, is that to destroy America, you must start with the education system. It's easier to train the young than it is to change the olders. So the whole thought process is the left is engaging in Marxist theory. And how are they implementing it? Well, guys like Mondani, they're the clean example. AOC, Bernie Sanders. They start out just like Fidel Castro, just like Adolf Hitler. Very charismatic, promising unification, promising the world. And the difference is the mistakes of Adolf Hitler and the mistakes of Fidel Castro are being reinvented here in America by the Mondavism. Let's continue to do what? Focus on the minority groups, have their importance be taught in school so that everyone thinks that the world is rough and should be softer and that things should be better when people don't value things that are not unique and only value things that are unique. So being parts of these minority groups, fringe groups, anti-police group is the way that the youth should come of age, which is the breeding ground of the left. And, you know, the last 15, 20 years of public education fit the misdistribution of Marxist theory, right? Where it should be teaching you English, math, geography, and science. It's teaching you about the misdistributions of transgender. It's teaching you the women in men's bathrooms. It's teaching you woke. It's teaching you separation. It's teaching you cause. It's not teaching you what you need to know, which is how to make yourself better, how to be better, how to help your neighbor, how to build something for society and not be a burden of society. That's what the left has done, David. And that is exactly out of Marxist playbook in the 21st century.
You know, I thought you were going to get a little stronger than that, my friend. I'm a little bit surprised that you're just
You told me you
But
wanted me to take it easy.
I'm going to ask you a question. All right, you know, you're sitting here and you're trying to create, you know, you're tying it to Marxist theory, into fascist theory, and like, I get it. I get it. I'm not so sure that that's smart. I'm not so sure they sat and read those theories and go, "Ooh, I'm going to be like Fidel Castro." I don't think so. What I really think is that the left has just taken over and created a nonsensical world where, I mean, look what's going on. A Canadian school the other day sang "Oh Canada" in Arabic because the left thinks that that's the right thing to do. It offended many people, by the way. And there were Arabs in there going, "What the hell is this?" Muslims who are going, "What the hell is this? What are you doing?" This is the left thinking that they're going to readjust our thinking and make us better. What the hell was that? I'll give you another example, Stuart. All right. All right. When you look at when you go into schools and universities, these professors who have decided that, you know what, we don't allow free speech here because you were contradicting. No. Only conservative speech is fascist speech. Therefore, it's illegal. It's immoral. You can't do it. Okay, like I'm trying to. This is the thing. It's like I don't think that they're sitting there and studying Fidel Castro tactics.
I disagree.
I think that many of them have been brainwashed by their leaders, by their cult-like leaders.
Good word. Love the word.
to make them believe that they're in the right. Look at the journalists out there today. So, when CBS, when Barry Weiss comes in and says, we're going to treat Democrats and Republicans equally, they lost their minds. They lost their minds. How dare they? The Republicans are the enemy. What enemy? When you look again and again and again, I won't give them that much credit. I think that they are walking around like a bunch of sheep looking to be part of a cult, and that this left-leaning attitude is just the cult they're looking for. It promises you a utopia that doesn't exist. It promises you a world that doesn't exist. And I know we've been here before, Stuart. We've been here before 100 years ago. It happens again and again and again. I just think that this is not a smart, thought out thing. It's a cult. And it's the same people who are saying to you and me, if you're not with me, you're my enemy. I've heard this before. And it wasn't just Fidel Castro, and it wasn't just, fascist. It wasn't. This is how cults work. And you know what happens with a cult at the end of the day, right? They burn down. As we've seen in Waco, Texas, and we've seen in other places historically, when you're involved in a cult that doesn't educate you, just brainwashes you, you lose. And that's what the left has done. And, I know comedians, and Stuart, I'll give you one more example. Where is the left right now today on this Wednesday to applaud Donald Trump? They can't. They can't. It's not in their doctrine. He brought peace, or he brought a peace. I don't know what you want to call it.
Armistice. He brought it.
Armistice, a ceasefire, call it whatever you want, into the Middle East. He's trying to create an economic plan. Even Obama can't bring himself to congratulate Donald Trump. I mean, this is the left. This is the left today. Mamdani won't, you ask questions, he walks out. There was a politician, and I forgot her name, who was being interviewed. She didn't like the questions. She walked out because you're questioning her. The left doesn't want to be questioned. J.D. Vance sits through on the weekend numerous interviews. He knows he's going to get lambasted on CBS and NBC and ABC. Sits through them. Donald Trump, how many times has he gone through interview after interview? And you know what they say about that? Oh, Trump is just a media hog. He's answering your questions. Love him or hate him, he's answering your questions. The left cannot get over this, that they are right no matter what, even when they cross the line. And when I talked about Trevor Noah, even when they cross the line, they don't seem to care.
Nope.
So, Stuart, I think that this is like a cult where they've been all brainwashed, and you're going to have to do a little bit of detergent rinsing of the brain, because they ain't going to come clean anytime soon.
It's interesting that you brought up the C word, because I was actually thinking of this early on, because Marxist theory is actually a cult. And I could tell you that, it was well used. To be anti-police, to be anti-education, to be pro-death and murder, and anti-everything as social norms is the definition of a cult. The media is the cult-like profiteer of it. And I'm hopeful, David, that maybe we're a little smarter, and that this is a time in history which should be written and inscribed and then burned. Because I don't think anything good has come from any of these politicians. I think they are all off one flew over the cuckoo's nest and just forgot to subscribe here. Where do we go? Where do we go from here is the $6 million question. They will not let Donald Trump get a win. In fact, everything is a loss. And you know what? They're running out of things to print on signs. The BLM is gone. Yeah. The global warming is gone. Free the hostages, or keep the hostages, or death to Israel. Well, let's hopefully that's gone for a couple of weeks. The Hamas headbands, let's hope that's over with. They're running out of things to write in the street. And, where my fear comes is that, what are they going to think of next? I never in a million years would have dreamed that an October 7th would happen. and that it would have taken 2 years to bring not a resolution, but an end? Or is it a new beginning? You know, if you watch Star Wars, it's a new beginning. It's a new hope. You know, Lucas had a lot of things that were spun in there, just like Gene Roddenberry, in Star Trek, where a lot of it had to do with the Jewish religion and faith. But we're not going to go there, David. We're going to end this rant. I'm going to tee it back over to you. Wrap this sucker up.
This way, Stuart. I'm going to tell you something. The moment you bring in Star Wars and Star Trek into this, you know what you notice? What you don't notice, what you'll see, that Gene Roddenberry had this utopic idea in Star Trek. And if you watch the shows, it's very utopic, everybody working together, whatever. But by the time Star Trek ended its run, it was cynical and it was angry, because the world is, every time the world tries to pull hard in any direction, it has a really serious backlash. Be prepared after the November election in New York, Stuart, because there's going to be backlash. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this Wednesday's edition of the Rant Network. We're done. We're done for today. We'll be back on Friday, not on a pre-recorded version, but on one where we're out there on Friday with the latest and the greatest news and all whatever, and the rants, whatever. Keep coming, folks. We love it. Have yourself a